everyone's focusing on Google or how much Instagram likes can I get versus, hey, when someone does a search on Instagram, how do we show up? You talk to most marketers, they don't think about that.
Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Hey, welcome back to the show. I've got Neil Patel on the show with me. Neil, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing excellent. So Neil is the co-founder of NP Digital. Wall Street Journal calls him the top influencer on the web, and Forbes says he's also one of the main guys as well. He's created over 100 of the most brilliant companies, or at least your what is Entrepreneur Magazine says you've created 100 of the most brilliant companies. So Neil's a New York Times best-selling author, was recognized as a top 100 entrepreneur under the age of 30 by President Obama, and a top 100 entrepreneur under the age of 35 by the United Nations. So pretty impressive resume, Neil. Well, give our listeners a little bit more about you and then more about NP Digital and what you guys do over there.
Sure. So NP Digital is a global ad agency. We help, people generate more business through the web. And it could be a small and medium business. It could be a large corporation. We work with, everyone from Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Adobe, Cisco, Western Union, Hewlett Packard, PWC, Mitsubishi.
Hmm.
Literally the list goes on and on. CNN, like after a while, you can't remember all of the logos. Love them all equally. You can't remember them all. And same on the SMB side, right? We work with you know, companies that are just focusing on private aviation and just want to attract wealthy people to get their jet bookings up. We work with people who are in real estate who want to rank higher so that way their blog, their platform could be out there so that way they can attract more people who are interested in either selling their homes to them or investors who are trying to allocate money towards real estate so that way they can, hit them up and potentially invest the capital for them and get a return.
Love it. um, you know, social media, like digital marketing, social media marketing, all that. Obviously, everybody kind of knows about it, but I think it feels like most people just try to hack it themselves. Why would I spend money on a digital ad agency, versus just kind of do it myself? Because it's pretty cheap, right? And I get the
Yeah.
reach.
You don't need to spend money on a digital ad agency. If you're really amazing at digital marketing, you can do it on your own. I'll give you an extreme example. We work with companies of all sizes. Some of the companies we work with spend a lot of money on ads. We have examples of companies working with us that spend more than $50 million a year just on marketing
Oh wow.
campaigns that we're managing, right? So in total, they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year, but our slice of it is call it 50 million bucks. And when we drive 30% better ROI than what their internal team does, at those numbers, it makes such a big difference. The fee that they're paying to
Mm.
agency is so small, it doesn't matter. They're still way up net, more than 25% easily.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
you got to look at it as not necessarily if it's cheap and easy to do. You got to look at what provides the highest ROI.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you I'm assuming you guys have pretty good tools to be able to track ROI. So we've done some marketing campaigns, and that's been the biggest challenge is tracking and understanding, is this actually doing anything, or are we just wasting our time and money on this digital marketing?
There's great tools like Google Analytics. You, of course, have, CRMs like HubSpot and Salesforce that can help as well. But here's the thing about tracking these days. It's not perfect. And I think we're going backwards in tracking
Hmm.
due to privacy laws. And I'm not saying the privacy laws and the changes are bad, but it's more so making tracking harder. And that's causing it where people have to look at things more like multi-touch attribution, or they have to look at things like social media, or especially organic social media. People like it doesn't convert. And I'm posting out this chart. Um, I believe it's going live on in a few days. Um, And the chart is on what happens when a company stops using social media. And we looked at 16 companies with more than 100,000 followers, and they stopped posting on the social web. After
Hmm.
6 months, their traffic started going down. And technically before then, but you really noticed it after 6 months. Because if you look at their baseline, they went from 100% of their organic social traffic down to 62% in month two, down to 39% in month three, 14% in month four, 12% in month five, 4% in month six. And their revenue declined all the way from 100%, which was their baseline, to 94%. So
Wow.
they saw a contraction of, 6% in revenue. Now,
Wow.
it's not necessarily one for one, but it just shows because these companies, when we asked them why they stopped, the main reason being was they felt there was no ROI in organic social. Well, yeah, you can't track everything, but it was clear that it was having an impact on your revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are pretty impressive stats. Um, how do you guys, obviously AI is like the big hot topic. How do you guys, how are you implementing doing things with AI? What do you see in the future? Kind of a big, broad question, but what do you guys see in the pick, future as far as how does AI transform, you know, content marketing, digital marketing, SEO, over the next handful of years?
It's cheaper, to do work like basic, mundane, boring tasks like crunching data.
Mm.
It can help you do things more efficiently. There was a creative company that sells eyeglasses that was using AI to create campaigns. What normally would take them 2, 3 months, they were able to do it in a matter of weeks because of AI, right? I believe the company was called Design Army. I could be wrong, but I think it was called Design Army. I could be off on the name. Um, and then the third thing that we're seeing is AI, when you add it to your team members, it just levels them up. So let's say you have tons of C and D players or B players. Well, they're going to increase in their quality of output and their efficiency, and your employees are going to get better, at least the ones who leverage the technology.
Yeah, I was gonna say they have to use it properly, right? You can probably get some team members that are lazy with it and don't use it properly, and then you get the others that actually leverage it the right way.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, what do you think? So I struggle with, you know, how much do we spend on actual ads versus just content? So what's your perspective on balancing that? Balancing, you know, content marketing, balancing paid advertising. How do you look at that as far as a strategy?
You don't need to balance it. In marketing, you spend as much as you can wherever it's profitable
Hmm.
and maximize the channels to its fullest. For some people, that may be more on the content ends. For others, it may be more on the ad end, right? For others, it may be on like the organic SEO side end. For others, it could be email. Like there is no exact answer. It varies per industry and it varies for per, company because you and I could both be real estate investors and trying to recruit real estate investors and try to find deals. But it may be different for me being in Los Angeles than you being in New York City or wherever you may be based right now.
Interesting. And then, so what are you doing to decide like which one we spend more time on or what we spend more time on?
We look at marketing as spaghetti. So
Hmm.
if you cook spaghetti, if you're wondering if it's done, if you throw it against the wall, the cooked spaghetti sticks. The stuff that doesn't stick, right? So what you want to do is look at your marketing as a ton of experiments. You throw it against the wall. The stuff that's sticking is typically the stuff that's getting the most traction. Double down on those first.
Hmm.
Once you maximize them, go take the stuff that fell on the ground, throw it back, take the best ones of those that's somewhat sticking on the wall and maximize those. And you just go after all the channels one by one and you just leverage them to its maximum capability or extent that you can.
Hmm. Interesting. I like that approach. Um, is there a certain like platform right now that as far as social media goes that you say, hey, this is where it's at, or is it kind of the same spaghetti approach?
Can you repeat the question again?
Is there a social media platform that you say businesses need to be on this platform need to be spending the most amount of time on LinkedIn, the most amount of time on TikTok? Like, is there a certain thing that you should be spending the most amount of time on, or is it really just depend on, again, on the company? Same type of answer.
Same type of answer. Depends on the company, and it really comes down to a lot of experimentation. There is no right or wrong, and I wish it was that simple, but that's why marketers and agencies exist because
Yeah.
if it's that simple, we can all just use a model where we just go in at mass scale, replicate and go from there.
Yeah, right.
And,
And that
and
that's
that's
why.
all, the other problem. Sorry to cut you off, but that's also the other problem that you're going to have with AI. If people are using the same strategies and tactics, okay, that then AI is going to end up like, let's say if everyone's using AI, it's going to recommend to everyone similar strategies and tactics,
Hmm.
and it's not going to work as well.
What do you think about the use of AI in in posting social media? Because I like it seems like I see it so much more. I spend a decent amount of time on LinkedIn, and I feel like a lot of the ants like people will like respond back, and you can just it's just like this is you just went to Chat GPT or whatever and just said give me a response to this, and you just copied and pasted it. You could just totally tell it's like this is not authentic. What do you think about using AI to give answers on social media or to create posts on social media?
We haven't seen it do well majority of the time. I know there's a few profiles out there like, look at us, we use AI and we got a million plus followers, right? That's
Yeah.
not the majority. We see it fail more than 90, 99% of the time. And we recommend people do it manually. You want to be that 1%, go for it. It's tough. But we believe humans want human interactions and human connection. If AI was a lot better, we would be having a different story.
Yeah.
Am I saying it won't get better? No, but it's not there yet today. A year or two or three from now, maybe, but it's not there yet today.
Yeah. It seems like I've used it a few times on posts just to kind of see how it goes. And I would say I've got the same results as what you just said. It's just like, you know, this post over here is that as actually authentic is getting so much more. And it can almost be, it can be the same thing, right? It can be almost the same thing, same topic, but the AI generated one just doesn't get any traction on it.
Yep.
Um, what's I guess, what are you guys doing today that is maybe unique, interesting, that's working that you're excited about?
Um, One thing that we're doing today that we really love is this concept of search everywhere optimization. So think of SEO, SEO search engine optimization, where you're optimizing for platforms like Google. We believe SEO has changed from search engine optimization to search everywhere optimization. So instead of engine, we've changed it to everywhere. Because if you look at it, there's roughly 45.1 billion searches on the web daily. Google has
Yeah.
8.5 billion, which is roughly 18%. Instagram has 6.5 billion daily searches. Amazon's at 3.5. Heck, even the Apple App Store is at 500 million a day. ChatGPT is at a billion. I believe Pinterest is around 2.4 billion.
Hmm.
The attention is really spread out. Now, you may use Google for more intent-based and commercial-based searches, while you may use Instagram to look up content or search for friends, right? Or Amazon has some of the highest intent-based searches out there. So when you look at these channels, if you don't optimize for all of them where your consumer is, you're missing out on a ton of revenue. And we've been focusing that at our agency, NP Digital, and it's just been crushing it for our clients because it's not that competitive. Like everyone's focusing on Google or how much Instagram likes can I get versus, hey, when someone does a search on Instagram, how do we show up? You talk to most marketers, they don't think about that. But that's a huge channel. Just think about it, 6.5 billion searches that marketers don't talk about on Instagram.
So you are, that's interesting. So you're trying to get the brand, whatever brand you're working with, you're trying to get that brand to show up in all these different platforms that people are, and likely targeted certain platforms, but you're trying to make sure it's just not a search engine optimization. You want it to be, you're trying to get them kind of everywhere. Is that what I'm hearing correctly?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Um, what are your top three? If you have a top three, maybe it's a top five marketing strategies for someone in the real estate industry. Let's talk about a real estate investor. Um, trying to find maybe passive investors or trying to find properties. Let's go with trying to find properties to purchase, whether it's residential, commercial. What would be your top three strategies for doing that?
So it's actually very similar for both. One, I would create a brand. Like Cody Sperber is a great example. Posts a ton of content on the internet, whether it's social, websites, talking about flipping, generating income. Ryan Pineda is another example of this. And this helps you find people who are interested in just selling their home and they may reach out to you, as well as investors who are open and want to park money passively.
Yep.
Second thing that I would do is speak at events. When you speak at events, like real estate events, there's so many of them, you will pick up a ton of brand recognition and business over time. The third thing that I would do is create a blog. I would break down good rentals, good flips, bad flips, when's the right time to sell, when's the wrong time to sell, um, how to sell your home during a bad market, because this will help you pick up the right type of customers. Because a lot of that will start ranking on Google over time, and that will cause people to search, oh, how to sell my home when the interest rates are high. And then there could be an article about like, hey, you could actually sell your loan with it too. Some depending on where you got your home loan, you got a cheaper rate. Most people can't. Here's how you can do this, and it's a win-win, right? There's a lot of different strategies that you can end up doing, but we think those three would do really well for anyone who's trying to get their name out there in real estate and eventually get more deals and investors.
When you're creating a blog, is there a certain cadence that you want to make sure you're putting new
Yes.
article out there,
Few times a week, 2 to 3 at least.
2 to 3 a week? Is there a certain like just having it on your own website, or did you do what's the strategy there, and also communication within the blog?
You put it on your own website.
Yeah.
You then share it on the social web, so all the channels that allow you to share it, and then you send out an email blast.
Hmm.
Those are the three main avenues.
What do you have any strategies for growing and cultivating your email database?
When it looks at growing and cultivating your email database, we believe the best strategy is give away free tools. Like you
Hmm.
can give a mortgage calculator away, right? There's a lot of real estate tools that you can give away, but and you don't even have to build them. You can just go to codecanyon.net and you can find a lot of them for like 10, 15, 20, $30 and just pop them on your site. We found that free tools just gets and collects more visitors and emails than most other strategies out there.
Hmm. Interesting. That's good advice. I want to pivot a little bit to, your journey and you growing your business. What, first of all, why'd you get into digital marketing? You got in really early. You were, at 30, you were, what was it named? One of the top entrepreneurs, top 100.
23 years. I was 16 when I started. I'm 39 now.
So you've been going for a long time, yet you're not even 40 years old. Uh, So
Yeah.
what inspires you to get going in digital marketing?
Honestly, no choice. Started a website, paid a marketing firm, tried to get some results. Had little to no money. They didn't provide any results, and I was pretty much broke. Had to learn it myself, got great results, and I was pretty good at the digital marketing thing.
Hmm.
And I wasn't great at the business thing. And I was like, let me just focus on driving traffic to people's websites. Because once I drove traffic to my website, I was able to get it to like 60,000 visitors a month. I still wasn't generating any revenue, but I was great at the driving traffic part.
How did you start to generate revenue then? What did you do different?
Nothing. I started selling digital marketing services, so that business failed. And I was like, let me just sell businesses on traffic. And these were to businesses that already knew how to monetize the traffic.
Hmm. Talk about building a team. Like what somebody who's looking at growing, you've grown a really good team. Somebody's really looking at growing their business. Like what are a couple pieces of advice you'd give for growing a team strategically?
Hire people who have already done what you're looking to do before. So you go to LinkedIn, you look at your competitors, you look for the people that are in the roles you're trying to recruit, and you
Hmm.
want to see if they've been promoted. If someone's been promoted multiple times, there's a good chance they were actually valuable and they did well versus them claiming they produce all these results. People will be like, oh, I worked in this business 4 years, I did all this stuff. Well, why don't you get promoted even once, right?
Yeah,
If you got promoted multiple times, usually you're good at what you are is claiming you are good at.
that's that's a great. I love that strategy. And that's a great point. Like, why haven't you been promoted? What? Yeah, if you are so good at what you do, why are you looking for this job at the same? And maybe it's in the same like position. You know what? Are you sure you're good at?
Yeah.
That's a great. What mistake? What's a mistake you've made in on your journey, and how have you learned from it?
One of the mistakes we made on our journey is not having enough focus, or more so I made on my journey. I tried created one too many companies, never had focus.
Hmm.
And when I started having more focus, I did better. Another big mistake I did was not going after a big enough TAM. TAM stands for total addressable market. Real estate's massive, tons of money to be made. You look at a lot of the billionaires in this world, they came from real estate. Look at a lot of the millionaires, I bet you the most common one is from real estate. People just buying a home and it growing in value over time. So I used to go after cool ideas that were niches. And people believe the riches are in the niches, but that's the opposite. I always like saying the riches are not in the niches. You
Hmm.
want to go after big markets. It's easier to capture 1% of a gigantic market than it is to capture 100% of a really, really tiny market.
Interesting. What? So what did you like when you started focusing on the small markets? Did you just find they were too small, or you weren't able to capture enough of the audience, or what was the
Too
blockade for you?
small. And yet do the same amount of work that you would do in a bigger market, but you just went after something that was too small so you can only make so much in money.
Yeah, just not enough potential sales even to you know crack into true profitability.
Correct.
Got it. Um, Neil, what else do you want to? We're going to wrap up here. What else do you want to share about digital marketing, what you guys do, and maybe what's exciting here in the future?
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with AI, from ad optimization to even creatives that you can end up creating. We just won an award for Brown's, a shoe company, leveraging AI to pretty much make the whole ad. It was really sick, in a good way. It took a lot of time and man hours on our end, but AI helps speed up the process quite a bit.
How do you know? How do you know when you're looking for digital ad companies and you're saying, okay, we want to spend some marketing dollars. We want to get our name out there. We want to push our brand. Uh, how do you decide on a company? There's so many out there.
Oh,
I mean, look, I can go on to all these websites. I can find hundreds and hundreds
yeah.
and hundreds of them. And so how do you like even begin to sift through some of the companies that are out there?
Look for the ones with a lot of awards, a lot of case studies, and amazing track record. And you should ask for client references and all those kind of things. And if they can't provide it, then move on.
Yeah. Yeah, good advice. It's challenging. I mean, to me, there's just so many out there. And everybody, of course, says they're the best, but I like, look for some of those rewards, get some, just kind of like what you do for everything, right? Get some referrals, make sure they're actually the right ones. Because it's really easy to spend some money on digital marketing and not get good results.
Yep.
And you found that out too. So,
And it the hard way.
um, what's a favorite book you can recommend to our listeners?
Principles by Ray Dalio. People
Hmm.
should check it out if they haven't.
Yeah, great book. Great book. All right, last question before we wrap. What are your three pillars of wealth creation?
Sure. So I look at wealth as your relationships, like with your family, because if you have a ton of money but you have terrible relationships, you're going to be lonely. So for that pillar, I recommend that you spend quality time with friends and family. Don't have your phone on, don't text. Really get to know them, listen, and help them out where you can. The next pillar I look at is health. If you have terrible health, no matter how much cash you have, you're not going to be able to enjoy it. You're going to be sitting in a hospital. So for that pillar, I look at you need to eat clean, exercise, maybe not daily, but try to exercise daily, or at least three, 4, or 5 times a week. I try to walk 10,000 steps a day as well. That helps. The third pillar is money. And, you know, if you have great relationships, great health, but you don't have a ton of cash, there's only so many things you can do in this world. And what I found is if you want to do really well from a financial aspect, you got to focus on a big TAM, which we talked about. But the bigger thing is you got to stick with it for a very long time, even when you're making a lot of mistakes, but learn from your mistakes. If you do something for a long time and you avoid making the same mistake over and over again, I don't care if you went to college or not, eventually you'll do well because you'll learn what not to do and you'll just focus on the stuff you should be doing.
Love it. Love it, Neil. Really appreciate the advice. I think for us, we are one of the reasons I really wanted to bring you on the show too, is because we are looking at how do we expand our brand, our reach? How do we get better at digital marketing? What kind of strategies do we implement in 2025 and moving forward? So really appreciate you joining us on the show and talking about what NP Digital does and kind of your insights. How can our listeners get in touch with you, learn more about what you got going on?
npdigital.com or neilpatel.com, and my social handles are all Neil Patel.
Awesome. Neil, again, really appreciate you. You have a fantastic rest of the day.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. Your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So the other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out. And we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.